Hello, my name is Chris. This is the YouTube channel for Learn British English Free. We also have the page on Facebook, and this is a new lesson in April 2023 about Cambridge. I've had a few requests to talk about life in Cambridge. I can't remember from whom, sorry. This will be a short one. I want to give you a very brief description and some ideas from my perspective, of course. First of all, what about Cambridge? Oh, it's a city in England, and we're about 55 miles northeast of London. It's easy to get to and from by both train and car on the motorways as well. Lots of people can travel back and forth for tourism and for work, of course. So lots of commuting going on here. Cambridge's history is interesting and very long. Perhaps the main thing about Cambridge is that it's built around the River Cam, and you can hear it in the name. The River Cam becomes part of Cambridge. Of course, one of the mysteries of English is the pronunciation, Cambridge. But of course, the city is built around the River Cam, and it's reflected in the name. The other very famous thing about the city is the university. As well as the river, the university started here many hundreds of years ago in 1284, can you believe? And it brought with it lots of people and business and other things. So the city is very much built around the university now. There are university colleges and buildings all over the city. They're not in one single place. And that's another reason why the city has become so popular. The population recently is getting close to 150,000. That feels quite large, actually, but it often includes people who live in the areas, like in the suburbs or in the towns and villages around Cambridge. Cambridge feels quite small, even to me. A big thing about Cambridge, as well as the university, is the amount of jobs here. It's very good in terms of if you want to find a job. There are many companies, especially science companies, and software and biosciences in particular. There are organizations and buildings around the city, and also science parks. There are a fair few of them here where the companies are centered. So it's one of the best places to find a job, especially if you're a person who works in those industries. And it's common if you meet someone new in Cambridge, their job will consist of one of those. You may know that as well as teaching, I have a different type of job in the hospital here. That job is called Addenbrooke's Hospital. It's a very big one and quite famous in the UK. It has a lot of specialist things going on, and patients come here from all over the country and around the world. Royal Papworth Hospital is here as well now. They built a new hospital next to Addenbrooke's, and that's based there too. When you're going around Cambridge, you'll notice a lot of the buildings, because of the college, the university and their colleges are quite old. They're quite small with narrow roads, and cycling is a big part of living here. The infrastructure has been built relatively well for that compared to other British cities. For example, there are lots of cycle lanes. The roads have been widened to include cycle lanes in many areas. And for me, it's important because I use my bicycle to get around here. Tourism is a big part of life as well, especially at the weekends. The city will be bustling and thriving with lots of tourists. It's gotten busy again. Of course, during COVID, that really stopped, so it wasn't so busy. But nowadays, it's picked back up again. And the city centre, because it's so small, can get very crowded for me. My general opinion on life here is, as I mentioned before, good for you if you want to find a job and to get a relatively good job with decent pay. Especially good, of course, if you're a student studying not only at Cambridge, but there's another university here as well, known as ARU. And the city is, I think, quite focused for student life. It's sort of a university and student city. And being part of those universities, you have access to their clubs and facilities, which might give you a better range of activities and options for you to do in your free time as well. It's fairly expensive here, even compared to the rest of the UK, although like your day-to-day things, having been around the UK recently, actually the UK is expensive in general, as most other countries are, with what's been going on in the last year or so with inflation. But of course, like to buy a house here is nearly impossible. It's so expensive in Cambridge. It's one of the worst places for that. There are lots of things to do, although many people would say Cambridge is quite small, and a lot of my friends feel it's fairly boring here. That, of course, is a matter of opinion. It depends what you're interested in and those kinds of things. I can see where they're coming from, though. But at the same time, it's very convenient. And if this sort of slightly quieter way of life and city life suits you, then it's definitely a good place to be. Related to that, because of the size of the city, it being small and there being quite a lot of green areas around, something that I like to do is, as well as cycling like to and from work and my activities, you can also find places to walk either within the city. There are many areas, but there are lots of rural areas around and countryside, famous places to go and visit or to stretch your legs, as we like to say. For me, as a fairly active person, that's a really good thing. So a mixed bag here. That concludes what I wanted to tell you. Again, it's very personal in terms of my experience. I've been living here for more than 10 years now, which feels like a long time. And many people like it. Many people don't like it so much. It really depends, like most places, on you and what you're interested in. But if you have other questions about things I haven't talked about, or you want my specific advice about Cambridge, please write to me, send me a comment or something like that, or a message, and I will check it out and get back to you. Thanks for your suggestions and your support this year. This was one of the requests I had earlier on in the year, and I'm working my way through them. So please do keep in touch on YouTube, Learn British English Free, and the British English page on Facebook. I'll be posting more videos soon. Thank you very much for your time and your support. My name is Chris. I'll see you soon.